let's have a look at the exhaust over here, what I got. It comes in 3 pieces. That's the front pipe, that's the pipe, the linking pipe from a real cylinder, and that's the part that goes 2 into 1. It's original condition, it's original exhaust. I'm not gonna, well, this part is not original, but I like the look of it. I like the way it looks, I like the way it sits on the bike, and I really like the way it sounds. Got this really classic old tune to it. It's not too modern, it's gonna go well with the bike. The exhaust itself is not brilliant, it's not amazing condition. I'm not gonna paint it, I'm gonna wrap it. I'm not gonna build brand new stainless steel super racy custom exhaust for it. A, I don't have the money for it. B, it's time consuming, and C, probably the most important reason behind it is I don't want to go crazy on that bike in that respect. It's an old bike, it's an old little engine, it's never going to be a racer, it's never going to be on a track. What's the point going balls out crazy on a super stainless steel fancy shit exhaust system for it? I think this is going to work just fine. It's already here, it already matches and fits the bike perfectly well, and it's what the manufacturer designed for it anyway. And it's here, it's free, it's cheap. So let's see if I can make it work, if I can wrap it, if I can install it back on the bike, and how it's gonna look and perform. Let's do this. So I've got the exhaust wrap. I got a black one, black exhaust wrap, and it comes with some steel tie wraps for it, which will come handy. I've got some around, but they will come handy. Why black exhaust wrap? Because it kind of gonna go with the bike. I don't want to go crazy with colors and shit. But before I start wrapping it and messing about with it, I'm going to dunk in water to help me stretch it and just reduce the fiberglass splinters later on. Obviously wear gloves and respirator and eye protection when you're doing it. Don't do what I do and don't do anything. When I dunk in the bucket of water as it is, beautifully bubbling over here, look at that. I'm just going to leave it here to soak up for as long as necessary. I'm going to start working on the oils. I'm going to start working the exhaust, give it a good clean, and this will be sitting here. If it's going to sit here overnight, it doesn't bother me, you know, get it soaked up nicely, so it stretches a little bit better, and all the fiberglass splinters are reduced to minimum. Hopefully they're still there, but they're just not flying all over the place, hopefully. So yeah, let's get it done. Thinking long and hard about it. The exhaust pipe, I was gonna keep it chrome, give it a good polish and put it on a bike, have a kind of good balance of chrome and black, but put it in the back of a bike, it just kind of doesn't go chrome, so I'm gonna paint it black. I know it's more work, giving more work to myself, but I think black's gonna go better, and I'm gonna go with my gut feeling. Plus I asked my girlfriend and she told me to do it black, so I have to. Okay, let's have it done. Right, so that's 3 coats just now, 1 very light, 2 heavier coats, and I'll leave it as it is. I'll leave it for 24 hours to harden, to cure. If you're asking what I was using no commercial intended. It's a high coat engine enamel gloss black. If it's good enough for the engine, it's good enough for the exhaust, especially the end can. End can don't get that hot as the exhaust itself. And I really like the finish of it. It's the same stuff I coated the engine with. Really nice, thick, heavy coat. pretty much scratch proof straight away. I'll leave it to harden up, pick it up again tomorrow. Didn't manage to do any of the exhaust wrapping today, but tomorrow is another day. My exhaust is nicely soaking in a bucket of water over here. I'll leave it like this till tomorrow, it ain't gonna hurt it. And yeah, fast forward, next day. No real science to wrap in the exhaust. It's really not that difficult. Few rules to remember. Well, I like to remember anyway. Start from the end of the pipe, working towards the header. Simply because the way it will be wrapped, the wrappers will be when it overlaps, it kind of goes this way, if that makes any sense. It just looks aesthetically I think it looks better. That's my humble opinion. And the most important thing is to keep it very stretched, very tight when you're wrapping around it. Don't leave any loose bits, because it will just start to, you know, disintegrate very quickly and it will just look sloppy, which obviously is not good. The other thing is to remember about the overlaps. Try to keep the overlap at the same distance all the way through. Obviously it's more tricky on bendy pipes like that. You need to work a bit tighter, a bit small overlaps, but nice curve like this or even straight pipes are rather easy. It doesn't matter whether you do a quarter overlap, half or 3/4. I'm doing the quarter, trying to do a quarter overlap over here. It doesn't really matter, as long as you keep it consistent, more or less the same. So when it dries out, I know it's all black right now, you can't tell, but when it dries out you can kind of see, especially when you got different color wraps as well. Just to try to make it, you know, consistent, whichever that is, quarter, half wrap, whatever overlapping you choose to do. And as I said, main important thing is to keep it really tight. Stretch it as much as you can. Shake your arm off every now and again because it gets tired. But yeah, that's about it. As I said, there's not rocket science. If you're doing it first time, you probably want to just wrap it, you know, have a look at it, unwrap it and do it again. And this way you have a bit of practice in your own exhaust, you know what's happening more or less before you put steel zip ties on it. And the second time, you know, it's always going to be better than the first time. I pretty much guarantee you that. So that's my tip for today. If you're wrapping your exhaust for the first time, wrap it, take a picture, have a look, have a beer, unwrap it and do it again. And I pretty much guarantee you the second time you do a better job. That's how it goes. To tie it up in the ends, I'm using the steel zip ties. I remember when I first started doing that years ago, I never trust these. I always use Jubilee clips, which look kind of shit on the exhaust, they do, but they kind of widen and you can tie them up nicely with a ratchet or a screwdriver. So I used them for years, but then I learned that these are actually really good. It never came off the job, so I trust them completely now. The only thing is, doing them up by hand can be tricky. So I use a pair of pliers, but then I got this tool, which is specifically designed for that. It's very simple to use. What you do is, let me show you here. You align this groove, you put it in the steel zip tie, and you align it on the other end over here. Can you see me? Yes, you can. And then just simply by holding it, you pull it like that. That goes against the head of a zip tie over there. And you pull it nicely. You can see how it's tightening up, how it's pulling over there. there is a fancy way of cutting that off. You can hold it and then kind of pull it upwards, and there's a kind of snaps over here. But sometimes I notice they actually destroy that thing, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just use regular let's go. Regular cutters over here, and I'm gonna snip this nicely. I mean, it's possible, I've done a number of times. You kind of hold it, snap it one way or the other way, and it's a beautiful clean snap over here. But every now and again it destroys it, and I don't want to do that. Avoid it. So that does job equally well. I'm going to put one over here as well, just to make sure it's not coming off, and carry on with that. Now you're wondering, why am I doing 3 pieces of the exhaust separately and not one altogether? The very simple answer for it is, this particular exhaust is a pain in the ass to put back on this bike, and if you put it all together it will just never ever fit there. So I need to put the front, the back, and then the middle piece and kind of match it up. So that is the reason. When it comes to piece like this, how to wrap that, well, you just kind of need to use your imagination one way or the other, and yeah, hope for the best. As I said before, I'm gonna probably wrap it once, have a good look, and if I don't like it, unwrap it and wrap it the other way around. Bit of a try and error thing. Wish me luck. There we go. I think that's a pretty reasonable effort over here. It's all one piece. Started over here, then just go all the way back to the top, and then kind of back on itself into that little piece, and looks pretty tidy, I think. Not too bulky. It's kind of okay, I think, for an idiot like me anyway. Right, let's do this. Right, so we've got 3 pieces of exhaust, and it's all coming together, I think, like this. Hang on a second. Without putting this on a bike, I can never be sure. Yeah, like that. There we go. So it looks pretty much like one piece of an exhaust. Obviously over here it's the end can, but that's how it's gonna sit on the bike. I think it looks pretty decent. Wrapped in black with them silver accents over here. That's how it's gonna look on the bike. Pretty happy with that. But I'm not gonna fit it today on a bike because I'm running out of time. This is a story for another episode. I've got this ready. I'm gonna leave it over here so it dry. It's I'm covered in fiberglass splinters. Even though you wear gloves, it fucking gets everywhere. I can feel them over here. I can feel them around my body. I can feel them on my hands. The good thing is I can't see them in here, so I'm not breathing that in because it was soaked in water, so they're not being airborne as such. But guys, wear gloves. Even I'm wearing gloves. Don't know whether the camera can pick it up, but you got multiple splinters all over the gloves. I can feel them in my fingers. I can feel them around my leg when I was resting the exhaust. So yeah, just be careful. Wear protective clothing if you can, if you're working with that stuff. It's not deadly, but you definitely don't want to breathe that in. As I said, guys, fitting the exhaust and well, who knows, maybe even starting up the bike. It's a story for another episode. And until then, guys, thank you very much for watching. As always, rock hard, have a beer. I ran out of beer, that's why I'm not shooting anymore tonight. And I'll see you very soon.